Yes, people, welcome back to the 1894. I'm Hugh. I've got Dara here with me as always for this City versus Chelsea FA Cup semi-final preview. We've just knocked Dortmund out of the quarterfinal of the Champions League. We should be on a high, and hopefully we can take that into the FA Cup with us. Right, so the first thing we want to talk about is our predicted 11. We're going to put the full thing on screen for you to see now. And you'll probably notice if you watch the Dortmund game midweek, there's quite a few changes. Sterling has come back in for Foden. Jesus is now in our predicted starting 11 team sheet. We think they'll start. Stefan, of course, is in nets. Laporte's back in the team. Let's talk about some of these changes and kind of break down why I think this is going to happen. I suppose the best place to start off, Dara, is with Laporte in defence. Chat to me why you think he is going to be in the starting 11 this weekend.
Well, I mean, he would have probably started against Leeds, but I think he was out injured for that game. So it's gonna rotate a bit because we can't keep playing the same boys again and again and again. So he'll need to come in for a bit of rotation, and he'll need some game time as well. He can't keep going 2-3 weeks without a game. So I'm happy to see him come back in, and it'll come down to who partners him. Really, I don't think there's a world where he doesn't start.
Yeah, and of course, we've got such a luxury with this team that we have players like Laporte that we can call upon when rotation is necessary. I mean, just before we talk about any other predicted 11 players we have on the screen there, I just want to mention that if you didn't know already, we're on the way for a fucking quad right now. Do you know what I mean? We're challenging for a quadruple. Excuse my language, but 4 trophies, all to fight for in the next 6 to 8 weeks. It's a crazy amount of football, and it just cannot be done without a certain level of squad depth, which I do think we possess. So what I'm saying is we're very fortunate to have world-class centre-halves like Laporte to call upon when players like Stones or maybe even Diaz, he got a rest last weekend, will need it, because in between this game and the PSG game, there's 3 domestic games to be played. Chelsea, Villa and Spurs. That's a lot of football, and we need to win them all realistically. But anyway, moving into the midfield, we have taken Rodri out of our midfield from the Dortmund game, and we put Fernandinho in. And I think that's a fairly understandable replacement, because Fernandinho is obviously fantastic, and he has been all season. People have said he's playing more like a 25-year-old than a 35-year-old. He's obviously got that leadership quality. He's been in the club for so long. Tell me what you think he's going to bring this weekend, because I think it's almost certain he's going to start. What do you think?
It's going to bring a bit of shithousery to the squad, I think, personally. Like, he's going to be there breaking down counter-attacks, which Chelsea love. But he, again, it's the same as the last point. You can't keep playing the same players again and again and again.
Mm-hmm.
And Fernandinho, and that's shown against Leeds, he wasn't bad whatsoever. So I think he's ready to go into a game like this, and so is Laporte. So the rest of the people, well, some of the rest of the people are ready to come into this game. There's a few that we might be a bit edgy about.
Very similar to Laporte, Fernandinho's position. It's that they're both so capable of playing in the starting 11 every single week, and they probably walk into absolutely any team in England with their quality. But we're just so fortunate that we have players like Rodri that can rotate with Fernandinho, Stones can rotate with Laporte, or Diaz if necessary, whoever. So many combinations, so many great players. And you'll also see on our team sheet there, we've pulled Kevin De Bruyne out of that false 9 position, which he did so well in against Dortmund, and he's now back in his natural habitat, if you like, of the midfield. We think that is due to the fact that Jesus will play. It makes room for other players to come in, like Sterling. So yeah, De Bruyne in midfield, Sterling on the left, give Foden a rest. Like I said, rotation is so key when you're fighting for 4 trophies. You can't play the same best players every single week. And the thing is, even though, yes, it's an FA Cup semi-final and you've got the Premier League game against Villa and a Carabao Cup final against Tottenham, there's absolutely no denying that the PSG game is firmly in the head of Pep Guardiola. It would be an absolute disaster to say have a hamstring injury or a groin injury to someone like Foden, which rules him out of the PSG tie. It just would be. It would be an absolute disaster. So Sterling, I want to talk about him with you, Dara. He's been in the firing line of the critics and ourselves as well in recent weeks. He's been, put in some poor performances by his high standards. But I want to point out some stats first before we get into that. He's on 1 goal and I think 11 games for City. He's on 13 for the season, which still for a winger who's off form, that's unbelievable stats. 31 goals last season, that's astronomical. You can't repeat that year in, year out. So I think you do have to make allowances for this guy has played a crazy amount of football. Let's not forget he played international fixtures just a matter of weeks ago as well. So what are you expecting? What would you like to see from Sterling? Because I think he will play.
I'd just like for him to show more than he's shown, because we said it at Leeds, Anonymous. Last night when he came on, he did nothing. The only thing he did do was bottle a chance where he was clean through. Like, there's a very good chance that can happen again with Chelsea, where he can go in behind and just scuff it. Because he scuffed a few against Leeds. He scuffed one last night. He'd probably scuff one against Chelsea. But there's other angles to his game which we can exploit Chelsea using him. Getting in behind, in between the wing backs and the centre backs. That's his bread and butter, you know. But it's just a matter of whether he wakes up feeling a bit in form. You know what I mean? He's been off form so much lately. Maybe this will be the game where he goes, "Yeah, I'm getting back into this team. This is my time."
Yeah, for sure. I think confidence is a massive part of this for Sterling. As time has gone on, he's put in consistently poor performances, if you like. His confidence is naturally going to be shot. But like all top players in the world, which he is, the stats speak for themselves in recent years. He is a top player in the world, and it's no wonder his transfer value is so high. It just takes a matter of one game, one good performance before you see proper informed Sterling back on the City team sheet. Like I said midweek before the Dortmund game, in recent years, it's unheard of for Pep to pick a starting 11 for a big game like Dortmund and not pick Sterling. But once again, I just want to reiterate the rotation point. This comes right back to that. We have players like Foden, who probably walks into any team in Europe, who can come in and take a place of an out of form Sterling and put in a fantastic performance like he did. I don't know that Sterling in his current form or his current lack of confidence, if you like, I don't want to suggest that's the case, but that's my hunch. There's no better. I'm not sure he could have taken the chances that Foden did. To the both of the winners on both legs. But the final player who is in our group of changes from the Dortmund team sheet is Gabriel Jesus, another player who is actually constantly in the firing line. Simply because I still stand by this, and I know you do as well from having conversations with you. He's just not clinical enough. He's not the one. He does bring some really, really good things to the team. He's good at hold up play. He's got nice footwork. He's got a great touch. But as an out-and-out forward, or even playing as a false nine, he just doesn't bring enough. His best position is certainly on the left wing, but unfortunately for him, in a team like this where you do have Sterling and Foden, there's no room for him. So, talk to me about what he could possibly bring to this game against Chelsea, and where you see maybe in a short synopsis of where you see his future lying.
Honestly, I'd prefer if he started Torres. This is more of a predicted 11 rather than what we'd want. It's Jesus is just. It's Chelsea is one of those games where he's not going to get much of a sniff because it's going to be mostly played in the midfield and on the wing, because we know we can get in between their wing backs and centre halves. But like, Jesus doesn't make good enough runs as it is. I don't think he's going to be able to do anything in this game. I think he's going to be shut out of the game because he doesn't have the movement. I think me and Joe have discussed a while ago how good Torres' movement actually is. It's actually really underrated part of his game. I think that's why he should be in there personally, because I can't see Jesus getting a sniff this weekend. And if he does, he probably rob a goal from someone on the line. Because it's just, that's the only way he's clinical. Because you can give him 7 chances in the game, he probably only put away 1. We saw that with Wolves. We saw that with even Gladbach to a certain extent. He put away 1 after bottling 1. But it's like, he's not good enough. And speaking on his future, now I'll never say I hope someone leaves. I hope someone leaves. But if he has to go for us to get in a good striker, a world-class striker, no one's going to be against it. I won't be against it.
Yeah, 100%. And the thing is, on that Torres point, that's a really good point I think you made a second ago, is that this is just our predicted 11. We're putting Jesus in there based on the pure fact that we know Pep absolutely loves Jesus, which is why I'd be confident Jesus will be given some sort of a contract extension and he'll be kept at the club, because Pep does see a lot in Jesus. And the thing is, you have to trust Pep. You just have to. There's no reason not to. He's guided us to so many trophies, and so many more will come. You just have to trust it. But as it stands, not massive fans of Jesus. And from personal perspectives, me and you, I think we unanimously agree that we would prefer to see Ferran Torres given that chance. But we just think it'll be Jesus. But anyway, leave your comments down below on what you think of our predicted 11. And, tell us what you think. Is there any changes you'd make? Anyone you take out, put in, etc., etc.? And let us know what you think. Okay, so we want to talk about our opposition, of course, in the weekend. We just talked about our starting 11, but we can't do this video and not recognise that Chelsea are a good team. Thomas Tuchel has just come in recent months, and he started off with a bang, really. They were unbeaten for something like 10, 11 games, and they were looking like a really new outfit under Tuchel. But then they went on to get thumped by West Brom, really surprisingly. What was it, 5-2 or 5-3 or something? But we're not under any illusions. They're in the Champions League semi-final for a reason, because they're a very good team, and they do pose a massive threat. This is not going to be an easy game. Dara, what do you expect from Chelsea?
I mean, as much of a good team they are, every team that's going to come up against us is going to be trying to soak up a pressure and counter attack. That's how it's going to be. And I can't see how Chelsea are any different, because they'll have their pacey wingers. So I'm not sure if Pulisic is fit. He probably isn't. He never is. But they'll have a lot of players going forward. Like Werner, as poor as he is at finishing, is rapid. Mason Mount, yeah, he pulls the strings. I used to underrate him criminally. I've seen how good a player he is now.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, they have a lot of places where threats can come from, because they're a top team. And if we're not on our A game, they'll beat us. Well, they could beat us. They won't beat. They have a good chance of beating us if we're not on our A game.
course, and they do have that top manager in Thomas Tuchel, and I know they had a relatively easy draw in Porto, if you like, the easier side of things. Out of all the other teams in the competition, they knocked them out, and they're in the semi-final for a reason. They're there on merit because they're a good team. But like you said, they've got really good players. They're going to pose a threat. Pep versus Tuchel, two really, really good teams. But we're kind of in a position whereby we have so many competitions to fight for. I've alluded to this earlier in the video, that it's hard to predict what sort of mind frame City will be in. Like, I know Pep's under this mindset all the time that he wants to fight for absolutely every trophy, and that's really fantastic from an outsider's perspective. But on a human level, these guys have to play these games every single week. 3 games between now and PSG. We'll keep talking about this PSG game because it's so exciting, it's so big, and it's hard not to. This is obviously an FA Cup semi-final. We want a challenge for it, but it's hard. It's hard to focus as a human for every single game to be a final for you. But listen, it's going to be fantastic, and we're really looking forward to it. Okay, so I think it's part of the show now where we should get myself and Darius score predictions for this FA Cup semi-final. I think personally it's going to be a high-scoring game. For some reason, I've got a feeling both teams are going to score a few goals, and it'll be an enjoyable fixture to watch for neutrals, maybe less so for the fans of the teams involved, because the high-scoring games are always a bit nervy to watch. So I'm going to give you my score prediction first. I'm going to go for a 3-2 City, and you might get some unexpected scores. I'm really hoping that players like Sterling and Jesus can get their confidence back if they're missing it, get their name up in lights if they need it, and just prove that our squad depth is one of our massive, massive assets to the success that we'll hopefully get at the end of the season. Dara, tell me your score prediction.
I'm going to go with a 2-1 City after being 2. I think they'll go 2-0 up. I'm going to go with a surprise score myself. I think Fernandinho will bag one. We'll win 2-1, and we'll move on to the final, hopefully.
Well, with the amount of long shots Fernandinho has taken in the last few months, he's due one to go in the back of the net. And, what better stage to do it than in our second home, Wembley Stadium. So 2-1 from Dara, 3-2 from me. 2 reasonable score predictions. I think it's going to be a fantastic game either way. Hit a like on the video if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new. You're still on the road to 200 subscribers. And, of course, you see those nice names floating below Dara right now. They are our Discord members, free to join. We talk about City all day, every day. Score predictions, player ratings, everything, transfer news. Come in and chat to us if that's something that takes your fancy. The link is down below in the description. Thanks a million for watching. We'll see you for our live watch along Saturday evening, City Chelsea. Be there. Peace.